Hi guys, today I'm gonna be analyzing another movie that I watched recently, and it should be a short one. I don't have too many things to talk about, but it's one of my favorite horror movies, I guess, that I've seen lately. And it's gonna be on As Above, So Below. This movie came out in 2014, so this was my second time around watching it. And there were just like a few things, actually the whole movie, I mean, itself, I really like it, like I said, but there's a few things that I want to talk about. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be talking about today. So this movie came out in 2014, and the first time I watched it, I remember just being speechless and really um, just captivated by the movie. And I remember hating on the main character because if you've seen this movie, and spoilers by the way in this video, um, if you've seen this movie, you know that the main character is actually the one who takes everyone with her into the catacombs, where the actual movie takes place. Sorry. And so I didn't hate her, but I was like, oh my god, she took everyone basically to hell. Like, really, for what? Like, they weren't even trying to go there, and she would, just because she had this like stubbornness. But now I'm like, okay, wait, yeah, she did that, but each character had the power and the potential to save themselves anyways, just like the three of them did in the end. They each, even though they were in the depths of hell, had the power to save themselves. I'm gonna wait a second because there's a plane going by. So, anyways, yeah, the whole premise of the story is that the main character is going into the catacombs in Paris to find the Sorcerer's Stone. And I don't know much about the actual history, the actual facts on the Sorcerer's Stone, or all the history that she speaks behind the whole story in the movie. I don't know. What I do know is the whole meaning of as above, so below, and how, as she goes into, or as they all go into, find the stone, that's what is revealed to them, that as above is below, as within, so without. And ultimately, she realizes that she is the Sorcerer's Stone. She has the power, because as within, so without. She gave power to the stone, but in reality, she was the stone, in my perspective. So she had all of those things, but only because she realized her true power. If she hadn't like truly realized, she would have been like, oh no, it's just a stone, but there's nothing here. So this whole phrase of as within, so without is very, it goes on through all of our life. um I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well enough, but it's this whole idea that once we give meaning to something, that meaning is represented in the outer world. I heard this before with an example of a cat. If we are afraid of a cat, it's because intrinsically the cat is connected to the meaning of confidence. So when we're afraid of that cat, it's because inherently we are not confident within ourselves. So when we're faced with a cat in the outer world, we're afraid. Um, that's just one example. And a bigger portrayal of this phrase is, as we heal ourselves further from within, our 3D, our world, it itself begins to evolve and become better, because as within, so without. As we heal within, everything heals without. Seriously. So this is, of course, the larger sort of meaning behind the title and the representation of everything as a whole. As again, as they go in deeper, deeper, deeper. And I love this movie because of its representation of hell. Um, they're literally going into hell. They read the words right before they enter that little cave, which I don't know the history, but I even know that it's related to hell. Um, Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. So they literally go deeper and deeper, and I think it's it's a really good representation of hell, because yeah, they're going deeper physically, but they're also going deeper within their own traumas, within their own obstacles that keep them tethered to that hell in this physical realm. Bear with me. So as we see, each character has their own traumatic experience that they went through, and they come literally face to face. Each character comes face to face with whatever trauma that is within the catacombs. And so all the characters that die, in my opinion, they die because they couldn't face them. They couldn't face their traumas head on. And so because they were so mentally unprepared and they didn't even have the capability of taking accountability, that is why they were taken. That is why they didn't survive that whole trip. And so that's why I like it, because it ties into these demons, these bad traumas within our own head. And again, as within, so without. We can't face them mentally, our own traumatic experiences, and that's why they have so much power over us in the physical realm. For example, okay, I don't remember the names, but and I'm not about to look them up right now. But one of the characters, the trauma that he was forced to face is that somebody was burning in the car, and he kept saying, it wasn't my fault, it wasn't my fault. And so it's not necessarily that it's your fault or not. It's that inherently you played a role in whatever that horrible situation was. And again, it doesn't have to be your fault, but it's just facing it. It's coming to terms with your own darkness. It's coming to terms with, like, I did that, and it led to these consequences. Maybe in that movie it led to that person dying within that car, but it wasn't intrinsically his fault. However, he couldn't face it. He just kept saying, it's not my fault, period. And because of that, he was taken. Versus the other character who wholeheartedly admitted to his shortcomings. He said, I have a kid, but I've never met this kid, because basically he abandoned his kid, and that's another trauma. But he faced it head on. He basically apologized. And this is where the whole idea of rectification comes in. And again, like, this is why I love this movie, because it's like this whole hell. Yeah, while it's scary in the physical realm, they saw Satans, they saw these things, right? But some of them, the ones that survived, were mentally stronger. They weren't afraid. They weren't afraid to face whatever actions they did and take accountability for their actions. And in my own opinion, rectification is the going back and addressing these shortcomings, or taking accountability for our shortcomings. It wasn't our fault, maybe, and we need to forgive ourselves. But in order to forgive ourselves, we have to face those things. We have to face those traumatic events, and therefore forgive ourselves. And by forgiving ourselves, we will be forgiven, because as within, so without. As we forgive ourselves first, we will be forgiven. However, the movie shows how some people, they simply can't face these things, and because of that, these things have so much power and so much, the grasp over them. Like the other characters who died because they couldn't face it. They were like, it wasn't my fault, and it took them. So those are like the main things that I wanted to discuss regarding this movie. Again, another plane. I did not know so many planes flew by here. Yeah, like I said, this one was going to be very short, because I don't have the grasp on a lot of the little things within the movie. But the movie as a whole, I feel like it's a huge lesson on facing our demons, facing all these things, walking through our own hell, but only to come out the other side, like they did, the characters who survived. They apologized. They faced that, the main character, her father, the thing that happened to him, and she felt guilty. I think that's what it is. Whether it's our fault or not, we feel guilty. George, I believe, was the other character, whose brother died, and it wasn't his fault, but he felt guilty. He felt guilty because if he hadn't left, his brother would have lived, and this is the paradigm he lived on. So because of this guilt, because of this fear, because of our fault and whatnot, we give these demons, these traumas, power, instead of taking it back by facing them and by saying, yeah, I did this, but I'm gonna be strong and face it and move forward from it. And from personal experience, I can tell you that is not easy. Which is why, it's this whole idea of being in hell, of literally going to hell, because it can be one of the hardest things to do. when she realized that she had to rectify, she literally went through hell again. You know, she went through the blood water, she went through the Satanists, she went through everything, through being in the dark alone, because she knew that that's what it took to rectify something, to take accountability. And it's so difficult. Again, I'm not saying like go out and do this, I'm simply saying this is the meaning that I got from this movie. And this is just my second time around. Who knows what else I'll understand the next time I watch it. But yeah, that's all I have to say on this movie. If you have any suggestions on movies or shows that I should watch and analyze through my personal perspective, please let me know. I've enjoyed doing this, but as you can see, I'm still, figuring out how to do this, correctly, professionally. Um, so if you have any suggestions, also let me know, and I'll see you all later. Have a beautiful day.